Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's everyone?
It's been a long, it seems like, well, for us, we've been having a nice summer.
Yes, we've had, it was really, really hot last week, definitely. We had a bit of a taste of a summer.
Yeah, and it's still hot. So if anyone can hear the fan in the background, please don't mind. Trying to cool ourselves.
So, today what are we going to talk about, Angela, then?
Well, today we're going to talk about vitamins. I thought it was an apt subject with talking about the sun and heat and what we eat and all of that. So we'll talk about specifically vitamin D and vitamin C. So why are vitamins important? I think everybody knows by now, but let's just say that they're important because in small quantities they work with the food that we eat to keep us healthy, basically. Right?
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And do you take vitamins, Safiya?
I do, actually. I've started about 10 years ago, something like that, and I have felt a difference, and we'll explain why potentially you might want to consider taking vitamin C. But first of all, we just need to remind you that we're not doctors. We're just giving you pointers of things that you can explore, and don't do any changes without consulting with your healthcare professional.
Please
don't take it from us. We just
do your research and talk to your health professional.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and hopefully this will give people things to think about, things to research. Vitamin D we're going to talk about. For example, there is some controversy with vitamin D. I'm not going to tell you more details except the fact that right now vitamin D is considered a hormone. Okay?
So we'll look into details into vitamin D.
Yeah, but when I'm talking about it, will be like I'm talking about the vitamin, and we're just going to talk about what it does, what happens when you don't have enough, what can block it, what could cause if you don't have it, things like that.
Yeah, and then we'll also talk about
vitamin C.
Vitamin C. Yeah.
So what is vitamin D? Okay, so vitamin D is quite an important vitamin. It's fat soluble. Oh, and that reminds me, saying that word, fat soluble, that we need to explain what fat soluble and water soluble vitamins are. Okay, before we even talk about vitamin D. So there's two types of vitamins, and they're categorized water soluble and fat soluble. Okay, water soluble indicates that you should take them with water or regular food, like just water, right? You can have it. On the other hand, fat soluble vitamins have to be taken with fat, with fat. So I'm not saying take a piece of butter and have it. I mean take it with your food, which most likely has fat, because that's how it, otherwise it won't do any good. It won't dilute in your body. It will just go straight through.
So is there a difference with how sort of the different absorption, when it's water?
I'm going to say, well, if it's water soluble, no matter how much you take, if your body doesn't need it, it will just wash through.
Right.
Like, for example, if you have vitamin C more than you need, then it will just make your pee very expensive because it will just go through. It won't be stored in your body. That's why you have to keep taking it. But what fat soluble ones, they do get stored in your body, in your liver, for example, and that can be dangerous if you overdose. So it's very important to make sure you're following the indications, which is approximations. They're not it's not like specifically for every person the same, but just to be on the safe side, you need to follow what the box says, unless you do your own research and you talk to a health professional that tells you with their guidance to take more than what the box says.
That is if you take supplements, but we'll also look at, you'll tell us how to get vitamin D the natural way, obviously.
Which is my favorite way to do anything.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So vitamin D now, back to that. It's like a fat-soluble corticosteroid. what it's called in scientific terms, and it's responsible for increasing the calcium absorption in your gut. It helps absorb magnesium. It helps absorb phosphate and other vitamins. But those three, calcium, magnesium, and phosphate, are so important, and they won't get absorbed if you don't have vitamin D.
So it's very interesting. So you need to have one to be able to absorb even just calcium and all of the others are.
Well, and calcium it goes back to your bones.
Yeah, they're essential for your bones.
So you need vitamin D for your bones.
Yeah, but it's because it helps with the absorption of the bone
calcium.
making,
all the bone making minerals. Okay, so it's an essential vitamin, and that means that your body cannot make it. It has to come from outside, and so you need you need to somehow get it because it helps with your bones development, your immune function, and alleviation of inflammation.
Right.
Now, a deficiency of vitamin D, everybody probably has heard about it, but let's just go over it once again. It could cause rickets, something that we used to think, oh, it only happened to pirates. In
rickets, yes,
right, and during the pirate days, whatever that was. But it's not true. It could happen now too. Okay, and that involves your bones. It could cause immune system weakened immune system. Sorry. Increased cancer risk and poor hair growth, and osteomalacia, which means it softens your bones, which is not good. It's a Greek word. That's why I can understand what it's saying. Otherwise, I'd be going, what is that? Osteomalacia or something like that. Anyway, so, and then too much of it, excess of vitamin D can cause the body to absorb too much calcium, and that's not good either. You'd think, oh, if calcium is good, then we should have more. No, because then it leads to increased heart disease and kidney stones, and heart disease because it makes your arteries hard.
Yeah, but I suspect you'd have to have a huge amount of excess vitamin D over a long period of time to reach that point.
Yeah, but don't forget, because people tend to overdo it with calcium too, right? And if they're not taking magnesium, because those three things work together, right?
I knew magnesium would come at some point.
Because magnesium is
this is your best friend.
He's your best friend. Magnesium is your best friend. No matter what else, everything else you do, you must take magnesium. He's not very well. I don't know why I'm calling him a him. But it must be
strong.
It's because in converting it in my head in Greek, right?
Yes.
They have each noun has
like in French
has like a gender, where in English there is no gender. So
in French
for these things,
it's masculine as well.
Yeah, magnesium.
For minerals.
So sorry for confusing you, but let's call him a male.
It's a she vitamin, and it's a he magnesium in French.
Oh.
He for minerals.
Oh, I see.
So you've got both. You see.
All right. So what happens when you don't have enough? We covered that. You get too much calcium, and it could lead to heart disease. Well, we already talked about what's fat soluble, so we don't need to think, but you have to get it from preferred way is to get it from food. Okay, guys? Now we're hearing
vitamin D from food.
Yeah, like from fish.
The first thing we think of when we talk about vitamin D is what? The sun, isn't it?
Yeah, we do.
But you can also get vitamin D from food.
Well, let's talk about the food first, because the sun, we don't get a lot in the UK.
Exactly.
And
so for
as Muslims, we have extra barriers to that.
So although arguably we'll talk about how to get it from the sun, and we'll mention that idea of being covered, etc. But in terms of food, it's interesting because again, as you said, apart from like a week or so where we had like extreme sunshine, and actually that stopped us from taking vitamin D from being in the sun because it was too hot to be in the sun. But it's been really raining and grey, and but when there's a bit of cloud, you can still go out and get some vitamin D. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll go into more details in a minute, but it's interesting to know that even if you can't get your vitamin D from the sun for various reasons, then there's another option, which is food. So where
Well, in the Western world, I don't think they do this in the UK, but say, I don't know if anyone hears this from Canada or the US, I think they fortify some of the dairy products with vitamin D. I don't think they do that in the UK. But say you didn't have any fortified, like they fortify milk and cheese and tofu and things like that, or cereals. I would get it from eggs and fish, like the fatty fish, that maybe the ones in the can, sardines and salmon. There's mushrooms and some meat. You get your vitamin D from. Right now,
so that's basically a bit of vegetable. You can get it from vegetables, you can get it from fish, and you can get it from meat. So that's quite a wide range of.
There's the people who are vegan are one of the groups that are at risk because they don't eat things that have the vitamin D foods. Right? They remove all these groups. And if you think, that reminded me to say that if you think being on keto is an extreme diet because you're removing a whole group, which is not really, because you're just removing refined carbs, could I say that vegans, they remove all the dairy, all the meat products, everything, anything to do with protein from the animal kingdom, including honey, some people do, then I think that's more extreme. But that's my controversial opinion. It does not express Heritage Radio.
Or necessarily mine, but I think it's interesting to hear different points of view.
So, but let's talk about lifestyle. So all these things are lifestyle related. How can we get it without having vitamins, and how without getting, without food? Well, we're still going to eat, so you might as well eat food that gives you that, works with it. But the sun, number one is the sun. And there's so many issues around the sun, right, that stops your body from getting, isn't that amazing? Like, you get the sun from your eyes and from your skin, and it makes it into vitamin D. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? But the thing, the most amazing thing is you don't have to go to the beach and lie in the sand to get that effect. All you need
to be completely undressed. This is what I was going to say earlier, because the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ said this famous hadith. It's women should show their face, hands, and feet. Yeah. And interestingly enough, these are the places where we are recommended to expose to the sun.
So the top of your hands, and your eyes. Yeah. If you just sit in your sun chair in the backyard or wherever your window, or wherever you can get the sun.
I know some people say you shouldn't uncover your feet. So whatever you follow as an understanding, but face and hands. Even if you cover your face, eyes, try and find places that are sheltered where you feel comfortable removing your veil, and then you can expose your face.
Yeah, your eyes are important.
Because this is one of the issues in the Gulf, where now people are chronically lacking in vitamin D because they don't really expose themselves. Like in the past, when you didn't have air conditioning, there were still times they would go out and work much more outside, be much more outdoors, and do things very early in the morning, later in the evening, but early in the morning when the sun would rise, where you have the best quality vitamin D produced, because it absorbs just the way the sun rays are.
Because you need to be outdoors without any filters.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm going to say, also we have a tendency here in the West, even though we hardly have sun here, say in the UK, people wear sunglasses. Sunglasses have filters that stop the sunlight to go into your eyes. So in trying to not get wrinkles, not to wrinkle our eyes because we want to stay young as possible, we wear sunglasses, but then
that's detrimental.
It's detrimental to absorbing vitamin D.
So interesting, because I'm blue-eyed, okay, and so I get extremely sensitive to the slightest bit of light. My eyes strain, and I feel tired, and I'm blinded very quickly. Okay.
So when you're driving, you should wear them.
Yeah, I have glasses, like sunglasses, virtually on as soon as even when the clouds are a little bit light, there's no real sun, but I tend to sometimes. So now that
So that's
I've
a
heard
habit. Because my husband wears all those glasses too.
well, when we prepared this show, you told me about it, and I thought, okay, let me see how much in the day or in a week I wear my sunglasses, and let's see if I can try and remove them occasionally, not have them all the time. And actually, yesterday there was a bit kind of sun and clouds. It was kind of playing. There was like one hiding the other, and then And I thought, okay, let's see if I can be without my glasses. And I was like, oh, okay, I actually can. And then when it became really bright, like no cloud at all, then I would put them on a bit, especially, as you said, when driving, because it can be a bit dangerous.
But what I noticed is that my husband wears his glasses. He has prescription, so he embedded
Yes.
the darkening of the glasses into his prescription. So they're all, the sunglass and his prescription are all one, and they get dark as soon as there's light. And then when I realized that's what it was, like, because I do research and I keep reading, and I found out this is the most recent information. I right away said to him, "You must stop it," as if I've been telling him for years. You must, because your bones
Separate.
you need vitamin D. Your bones, like, you don't want to get a case of osteoporosis or osteoarthritis or something because you're not getting enough vitamin D because you want to wear sunglasses. So the thing is, though, a lot of us fall into those traps of making our sunglasses with our thing to make it convenient so we don't lose it. We have to figure all that stuff. We have to reconfigure those things because our bones are very important.
So we looked at vitamin D being a fat-soluble vitamin, so that means it's best to take with food. You can take it from your own food, like meat, fish.
Yeah, and specifically
fatty fish and mushrooms.
Liver.
Yeah, liver is a good source. And
Egg yolks.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who likes fish. Well, you have to make yourself like fish, okay, guys? Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, and this is mostly in cans. So,
yeah. So
herring,
as well as other things were like vitamin D. Obviously, the first thing we think is the sun. Mm.
And you cannot get apparently you cannot get overdose on the sun, exposure to the sun on vitamin D, right? What could happen, of course, is to get the best out of the sun is to avoid being out when it's at its highest, which is between 11 to 3. So when you're on vacation or it's a nice day, so you don't get burned, because you don't want to get sunburned, but you want to get the benefit of the sun. So you have to be outdoors without any sunglasses on, without any sunscreen on.
Well, this is exactly what happened actually last week when it was so hot. And I was a bit frustrated because it was so beautiful sunshine, some heat where you don't feel like you're shivering or when is the next cloud coming and stuff. But it was impossible to be outdoors because it was just so hot. So yes, the good point is that even if you go out in the sun most of the time, I mean, last week, to be honest, was really exceptional, especially in our northern climes. But you don't need to go in the sun for hours and hours on end. The recommended amount is 20 minutes per day, and you don't even have to do 20 minutes in one go. It can be 4 times.
Okay, the only thing is, if you have dark skin, you must your skin makes vitamin D and doesn't make it enough as the way if there's no melanin in your skin, so it'll be longer.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have to be even more aware that you need to be exposed to the sun.
So this is a few years ago.
And I don't even know if you should be wearing sunscreen. Like, at least be careful.
Well, interestingly, a little bit of interesting information. There's a principle that when you think you're protected, you take more risks. This is something that's been demonstrated over many studies about different things, like when they introduced the seatbelt in cars, there were more accidents. Why? Because people felt more protected. They were taking more risks. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
then obviously there's a time where people, then that's it, it's embedded in people's habits, so there's no impact on the habit anymore. But it's the same with sunscreen. When they introduced sunscreens, especially made it much more available, and it became a campaign by governments to tell people use sunscreens, people had more incidents of sunburns and later on skin cancers because they felt completely protected, like they had a sunscreen, a shield. And they would then spend
more
time. I remember my childhood, this is when we started really going, like in the I'm not that old, but like they started in the 40s, maybe 30s, 40s, 50s. Then the sunscreen industry took on, and people were basically there for hours on end, from morning to evening. And especially, yes, I mean, we always make fun of the Brits, and you know, I'm very fair-skinned, so you can throw me in as well. You know, we go to southern countries, and we all look like lobsters after a couple of days, because we've just so starved of sun. It's like, yeah, the sun, the beach, we can go out, we can, even with our bikinis, you know, you just expose your face, and you come back like sunburnt, because we feel like people think, oh, I've got my sunscreen, I'm fully protected. No, actually the SPF, if I'm not mistaken, but we can double check again, is an indication of how long you can stay in the sun where you are protected. And 30 minutes, 50 minutes max. So 8 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours in full sun, because by the time you're ready to go out, it's midday. It happened to us all the time. You know, we want to go a bit earlier. It never happens, especially not on holidays. So you know, taking you a bit slower in your pace. So it's best to then, if you go, then don't expose yourself at midday and between midday and 2 p.m. Remember, if you are in France, for instance, the sun is in its highest point at 2 p.m. Not at midday, because it's 2 hours of sun hour. So basically, you have to just be a little bit careful when you go and how long you stay in the sun. So you can have a bit of sunscreen if you want, but just be mindful. It's not going to protect you beyond a certain amount of time. So that it'll still be too much sun. Whereas wear a straw hat.
So when we say too much sun, to burn your skin, because you cannot overdose on vitamin D through the sun.
Yeah, the vitamin D actually,
to protect your skin, we're talking about when to be out to get the maximum benefit for vitamin D.
And remember, you only need, as we said, for an average fair skinned person, 20 minutes. For someone with darker skin, maybe a bit longer, but you don't need more than 45 minutes, an hour per day.
Yeah. So then the other thing is, don't wear your sunglasses when you're trying to get the benefit of it, at least for part of the time, right? The other thing that's not really talked about is that, yes, food has an impact, because what you eat affects your body. So your skin is part of your body, and believe it or not, what kind of fats you eat or proteins you eat affect the quality of your skin and how it can withstand the sun. And you can go and do research on it. Don't take my word for it. And I'm going to remind everyone that research takes about 10 years to trickle down to advice. So there are people out there who are doing all this research. So yes, in fact, some of the research shows that what you eat affects your skin, the quality of your skin, okay? And it could, not necessarily prevent, but not let the sunburn cause so much damage. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna eat a diet high in omega-3s that comes from fish, and also do your research to see what else. But this is according to research. So have salmon, sardines, herrings, trout, all excellent sources of omega-3s. It helps your skin and the health of your skin. And then in combination with caring about what time you're out in the sun, caring about not wearing your sunglasses all the time, and mindful of what kind of sunscreen you use, right? Because you might be wearing the sunscreen, but it's still letting harmful rays through and preventing vitamin D coming through. So there is a lot of different things on offer right now. Check, do your research. Don't buy things that somebody's selling you just because you think, oh, they wouldn't be selling it if it was bad for you. No, they're in the market to make money, and you're in the market to protect your health and your pocket. So do your research, do your due diligence. So in combination, again, let's say what you eat, what kind of sunscreen you use, how much time you actually spend in the sun, and what else did I say, Safiya? One more thing. There's one more thing. When you're in the sun, how long you're in the sun, what you put on your skin and what you eat affects vitamin D absorption. There's other things too, but when we're using the sun now, okay, so that's the advice, of course. And the other thing that you can do for the rest of the time, why don't you try like hats that have like a flap at the back to protect your neck, a hat at the front that has like something in the front, like not caps, but like a hat with a, what do you call this, Safiya, when you have a hat with a
I don't know what it's called in English, to protect like the forehead,
your forehead.
Eyes, yeah.
So, and also in other cultures, you can see what they're doing. Like the Chinese women, they wear gloves, they have parasols to protect themselves. Now that might seem silly to them, but
the straw hats is really good. It really does protect you, but you can tilt your head and have the sun, and then tilt your head back down, and you're protected.
So you can have the benefit of the sun without damaging your skin.
There's another thing, Angela, when we must mention that people forget. You can get sunburned through the clouds. The clouds do not filter. They filter some. It's not as strong, but you can still get sunburned through the clouds. So don't think you can be outdoors all day long and not get sunburned. And also, when you're by the sea, the ocean, the pool, in the pool, you can get very badly sunburned. And if we have the experience of that. Your shoulders get completely sunburned from being in the water, because they're just at the surface, and this is where, and your face as well, and it all reflects back onto your skin. So be very careful. So
here we're saying to you, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful how when you sit in the sun, be careful what you put on your skin, and be careful. Yes, you just have to be careful. Look, if your young child was out in the sun, you wouldn't just let them go out without anything on, right? And if you do, you have to be careful. Now the bathing suits materials are made from a material that UVA protector. So if they wear hats with flaps at the back to protect their neck, and long, you can wear those bathing suits that who would wear them? Deep sea divers, right? That kind of material, and you can still go swimming, right? They don't have to look cute. You're going out into the water, you're going out into the sun, you want to protect your skin and at the same time have fun. Well, so be careful what you buy.
There was a very famous case of that chef. What was her name? Her name escapes me, and she was Italian name.
Yeah, but she is British. She's a well-known British Ella, some kind of Ella.
I can't remember. Anyway, it'll come back to me. And she was, photographed with wearing a burkini, and she explained that she was doing it to protect her skin. And she was very clever. And I just came back from France, and I was swimming in lakes and rivers and with my burkini, unhindered, no problem at all.
Nobody said anything?
No. But
were there people there?
Yeah.
And nobody said it. That's very impressive. So, because when you get outside of for France, about France, is like all the extreme reactions.
There are just a couple. Maybe some areas in the south where they're very bigoted, and they have a right-wing mayor, extreme right-wing mayor who has banned the burkini and shorts for men, but that's on the beach. But that's even illegal to have done that. But they don't care. In swimming pools, no, you can't go with. You have to wear skimpy stuff. So we don't go to public swimming pools. But anything that's public access, right of access, then there's no restrictions. And yeah, it was great. I mean, I wasn't burnt. I still got my sun through my hands and face and feet, and that was it really, and I had a great time. I really encourage anyone nowadays. I remember starting swimming in the sea with, it was just very uncomfortable. I had layers upon layers of like cotton trousers, and I was wearing one of my husband's cotton shirts, and a cotton sort of bone like hijab or wrap around my head. It was not practical at all. It took ages to dry, and it was just flap around and stick to me. Now we've got these amazing burkinis. They're not so expensive anymore. They do protect you on all sorts of levels, and they allow you to go out and be active, and enjoy the outdoors like
and
anyone
we can
else.
get them for the children.
Yeah.
And protect their skin with the sun hats.
Oh yeah.
Not
my
just
children always had
right?
UV. My boys and when they were young as well, they always had the UVBs, UVAs. Sorry, protective clothing, like at least t-shirts and long shorts. Longer.
And so we have no more excuses now. We know more than ever all about it.
I just wanted to explain a little bit how SPF is calculated.
Oh, please,
you know,
yeah.
because we see these numbers like, SPF 50, that must be ultra protection. And as I said earlier, we think we can stay for hours outside. But this is what it means. So to get an SPF number, there's a very simple formula that is used. It's they calculate the number of seconds it takes for a patch of skin to slightly redden when covered in sunscreen, and that is divided by the number of seconds it takes to slightly redden when there is no sunscreen applied. So for instance, it took 300 seconds for the skin to burn with sunscreen, and 10 seconds to burn without it. So that's the 300 is divided by 10, which is 30. The SPF is 30. So it's not exactly the length of time you can stay out. Yeah, it is the length of time you can stay outdoors without. So basically, it's not. It doesn't mean that if you wear this, you're going to be like, it's going to be your magic shield and you'll just tan and have no other. No, you can still sunburn. Plus, also remember, it gets absorbed. It diffuses. It evaporates. Then you go swimming. You've got to reapply. So you've got to be a bit clever with that. And it also it only gives an indication of how well the sunscreen protects skin against UVB radiation, not the deeper penetrating UVA. So you've got to it's a little bit of a minefield, to be honest, because we just misunderstand how well you are protected. So you need to have yes some sunscreen that don't protect you fully, so you've got to have one that says broad spectrum, and sunscreen that have this on their label have undergone additional lab testing, and they check if there is a persistent pigment darkening. But as I say here on this website, there is a universally recognized way of measuring UVA protection. So you basically putting your hands, as you said, in manufacturers who are generally there to create cosmetics. And the cosmetic
with
a lot of
the cosmetic industry does not have a lot of like rules that as many as we think they should, like what kind of perfumes and colors they use and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. There's also another issue, is that when we apply sunscreen, we generally don't want to spend too much money, so we try to apply just a thin layer, but actually you need to apply quite a thick layer for it to be properly protective as indicated on the label. There are ways of doing sunscreen naturally with coconut, with vitamin E, coconut oil, sorry.
There's really good web blogs out there that have recipes.
Yeah.
I don't think they have like a minimum amount of how much percentage they cover.
You need to look for a proper recipe by someone who's tried and tested it.
With good ingredients, caring what time you go into the sun, how long you stay out in the sun, eating healthy foods that protect your skin, you should be able to be fine. So as always, you have to take control of your health. You just cannot have a pill or a lotion and then you don't have to think about it, because you are playing then into the hands of people who make money off you, and then you get sick down the road. They're not going to be there to hold your hand when you're sick.
Yeah, exactly. So remember, be outdoors as much as possible. That's generally the takeout from our. It's just try and do the things as naturally as possible. Yes, it's not always possible in our northern climes. Oh, did we mention the best time of the year to produce vitamin D? So it's only between, especially in the north here, northern hemisphere, and that includes northern Africa.
Wow.
Yes, and Central America, and this is the northern hemisphere. So anything above the equator, and this is the closest.
So
to the
then, of
equator
course, if that's the good time to produce.
Only generally March to November. This is the widest, the longest. But obviously here, the more you're north, the less you'll be, the shorter the window. So for us in Manchester, for instance, and northern England, it's only really from May to October that the sun rays are at the right angle for your body to produce to produce vitamin D from the sun. So these are the times when you need to be outdoors as much as possible to accumulate. You don't keep it for long. It's only a few months that it stays. Obviously in winter it dips. This is why we're ill.
But just think about it though, in northern climates and in the past, before industrialization and globalization happened, in the northern countries, like say Nordic countries in Canada where the native tribes are and stuff, they wouldn't get rickets and they wouldn't get,
because they eat a lot of oily fish.
Exactly. That's
so there's always compensation.
So if you don't have the sun, you have the food. And that way people would get their, that's why preserving them and canning them was such a good idea.
When we become more ill in winter, it's because there's a dip in vitamin D, our immune system is weaker. This is not because all of a sudden we have more viruses. We've seen that with COVID. We still had COVID in the summer, we still have now even. So it's because there's just increases the amount of people who are ill because we dip. So you just have to make sure you keep up on your amounts. And the best time in the day, as we said, is the middle of the day. If you're not sure whether you can it's still the right time, you just place an object on in the sun. And it's like what we do for Asr. If you're past the time for Asr, that's it, it's too late for you. You can still go out and enjoy the sun and enjoy the beauty.
And don't forget, in the hot countries, they have something called siesta. Only in Spanish they say that, but in Italy, in Greece, in France, in Spain.
That's because they started early.
During the times when the sun is the highest, a lot of times they stay indoors and they'll come out in the afternoon or they'll come out in the morning because they naturally know
that's going to be damaging.
That's going to be damaging. So tourists, when you're a tourist and you visit these places, you should make an effort to know
follow the locals' routine.
What they're doing and keep yourself safe.
You wanted to add a few things about vitamin D.
I wanted to even though we mentioned some of the stuff about deficiency, we'll go over it once more, okay? Because it is a deficiency that in our community we face as hijab, especially hijabi women and people of color, okay? So I'm gonna, the few things I'm gonna say is that, so if you suffer from milk allergies, if you adhere to a strict vegan diet, you may be at risk of vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so that you need to be careful about that. Known as the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D is produced by the body in response to skin being exposed to sunlight. Therefore, it also occurs naturally in a few foods, including fish. We've said that about fish. Fish, liver, oil, egg yolks, and of course there's some fortified foods generally, but I don't believe it's in the UK. You'd have to do more research about it, okay? So vitamin D is essential for strong bones because it helps the body use calcium from the diet. Traditionally, the vitamin has been associated with rickets, a disease which has bone tissue, which the bone tissue doesn't properly mineralize, leading to soft bones and skeletal deformities. I mean, that's as far as I'm concerned, an old disease, but I have heard of
it is
cases.
Absolutely. Recently, people around me have had their children diagnosed with it.
So, but increasingly, research is revealing the importance of vitamin D in protecting against a host of health problems. So, what are the symptoms? The symptoms of bone pain are bone pain and muscle weakness, and can mean that you have a vitamin deficiency. However, for many people, the symptoms are subtle, yet even without symptoms, too little vitamin D can pose health risks. Low blood levels of the vitamin have been associated with the following: increased risk of death from cardiovascular disease, increased cognitive impairment in older adults, and severe asthma in children, and cancer. Also, research suggests that vitamin D could play a role in the prevention and treatment of a number of different conditions, including type 1 and type 2 diabetes, hypertension, glucose intolerance, and multiple sclerosis. And of course, everyone, you hearing this, do your due diligence. Causes of vitamin D deficiency. Some of things you already know, some things will surprise you. It can occur for a number of reasons. If you don't consume enough of vitamin over time, though it's really hard to also get to be overdosed, like you were saying before, Safiya, it's hard to get overdosed with vitamin D. You have to make a big effort to be overdosed.
Yeah, I mean there was one expert in France that I read some time ago, who said that to be deficient, to be overdose in vitamin D supplement, you'd have to take the monthly dose every day for several months or something like that. So it's still quite high. However, don't try and attempt. Just take whatever is recommended, and then you'll be covered. The daily recommended dose. So you don't consume enough of the recommended levels is one way to be deficient. Okay, if you follow a strict vegan diet is one way to not consume enough of the recommended amount. Okay, so because the vegan diet, most of the natural sources are animal-based that you don't have. So because of the vegan diet, you're not having a lot of the animal-based sources, including fish and fish oils and egg yolks, beef liver. So here are some of the best foods for the vegetarians. Would be fortified foods then, I think, the best things, right? So and
that's
also lots of mushroom.
yeah. There's another reason why you don't get your vitamin D doesn't get why you are deficient, and it is your exposure to sunlight is limited. Because the body makes vitamin D when your skin is exposed to sunlight, you may be at risk of deficiency if you're homebound, live in the northern latitudes, wear long robes or head coverings for religious reasons, or you have an occupation that prevents sun exposure. And I will add to this also older adults who live in care homes, they're also at risk.
People who work at night.
Okay, that's so those are the reasons why you're limiting your sunlight. During winter, vitamin D deficiency can be more prevalent because there is less sunlight available. The other thing is, the reason you could be deficient is because you have dark skin. The pigment melanin reduces the skin's ability to make vitamin D in response to sunlight exposure. So some studies show that older adults with darker skin are at high risk of vitamin D deficiency. And I'm going to remind you that if you say, who cares? It's because as you get older, vitamin D deficiency also can affect your bones and could lead to osteoporosis in women especially. Okay, so the other thing is your kidneys cannot convert vitamin D to its active form, and as people age, their kidneys are less able to convert vitamin D to its active form, thus increasing the risk of vitamin D deficiency. And another thing that could cause you to have deficiency that might surprise everyone: you are obese. Vitamin D is extracted from the blood by fat cells, altering its release into the circulation. People with a body mass index of 30 or greater often have low blood levels of vitamin D.
Yeah.
So now then you have to be tested. The most accurate way to measure how much vitamin D is in your body is the 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test. Ask your doctor if they offer that. a level of 20 nanograms per milliliter to 50 grams milliliter per milliliter is considered adequate for healthy people. A level less than 12 ng per mil indicates vitamin D deficiency. So we've already talked about what you need to do to increase your vitamin D.
So there's a couple of other factors as well, which are often not mentioned, which is to stop you from absorbing and producing your vitamin D, but generally absorbing your nutrients from food, etc., is stress and pollution, and also the poverty of nutrients in the food itself already, because of intensive farming, because of the use of pesticides over, since the 1950s. All of our vegetables and fruits have decreased a lot in their
Well, that's why we have a magnesium deficiency, though naturally we should have magnesium through the food that's grown in the ground, but because of what you just said, it's the same thing for magnesium. We have to take supplements.
Yes, exactly. And talking about supplements, if you are to take supplements, obviously go and speak to your doctor first if you have to. But the best form of vitamin D is vitamin D3, because you have different types of vitamin D supplements. So type of vitamin D. So vitamin D3 is the one to go for, and it should be taken with vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 helps absorb and produce, process that vitamin D. And also what it does is that it prevents too much calcium buildup. So if you are to take vitamin D3, do make sure it's either already including vitamin K2
or buy it separately.
Vitamin K2 separately. That is really, really, really important to remember.
Well, I hope we've done justice to the topic. Any questions, please email them to us, to the studio. Sophia, do you remember the email?
So it's info@heritageradio.org.uk, and if you have any questions,
or this radio show is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel in a week or so you can go listen to it again, and if you have any questions, put them underneath in the comments, and then we'll answer you as soon as we can. And do your own due diligence. Please, please, please take your health seriously, and this is just like something to look into. Take care of your health, because nobody else will care about it.
Definitely. And so we said we also wanted to talk about the other second big vitamin that is essential for many, many reasons, and it's vitamin C. And it's the vitamin C basically has a role. It's called not everybody knows that, but it's called ascorbic acid, and it's necessary for growth, for development, for repair of all the body tissues.
It's good for your skin too.
Yes, it's involved in the formation of collagen, which is for your skin, your nails, and your hair.
Inshallah.
Absorption of. It's involved in the absorption of iron. It's involved in the proper function of the immune system, wound healing, and the maintenance of cartilage, bones, and teeth. So vitamin C is one of the many antioxidants that can protect against damage caused by harmful molecules called free radicals, as well as toxic chemicals and pollutants like cigarette smoke. And when you have a buildup of free radicals, what happens is that it contributes to the development of health conditions like cancer, like heart disease, arthritis, anything that's an inflammation. And this is why in some cases some treatments have involved the injection of high doses of vitamin C with some success. So again, we were talking about water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins. So vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin.
And this is water-soluble.
And vitamin C
so
is water-soluble.
Just drink it with water, and if you overdo it, don't worry, it won't cause anything.
No, what happens is that basically we always say for vitamin C, you take it to stomach comfort. So you reach a point where you get very loose stools and diarrhea. Okay, well, that's it. You've reached your level of your
Absorption.
body's just can't absorb more, so it's getting rid of it in that way. So but the other problem, because it's water soluble, okay, you can't overdose on them, but the flip of the coin is that you don't store it.
No.
So you need to keep them going in your diet. So obviously you eat vitamin C rich foods like vegetables and raw vegetable, or cook them in minimal water so you don't release too much of that, or steam them. Steaming is really good for vegetables.
Yeah, and all the citrus fruits have vitamin C.
Yeah. So you can also easily absorb it in pill form, and it can enhance the absorption of iron when the two are eaten together. So that's also something you can keep in mind. Deficiency of vitamin C is relatively rare still. We said it still happens, but still happen primarily seen in malnourished adults, but in extreme cases it can lead to scurvy. So
the two pirates,
yes,
scurvy and rickets.
Yes, exactly. Characterized by weakness, anemia, bruising, bleeding, and loose teeth. So the health and benefits of vitamin C. So there's. It's like we always go back to it. We always go back to stress. Okay, we always forget how much stress impacts our health. We keep on thinking, we don't eat enough, or maybe the food is not got enough nutrients. Yeah, all of these things are true, but stress, especially current, like modern stress, really affect our body incredibly and stop us from absorbing a lot of those nutrients. Already, they're quite depleted.
One of our episodes down the road should be specifically about stress and what affects stress in terms of hormones. And
so on top of that, we have stressful lifestyles, and at the same time, we are deficient in vitamin. It's kind of a vicious circle, isn't it? We're deficient in vitamin C, and that associated with many stress-related diseases. So, for instance, they've noticed that this is the first nutrient to be lacking in people who are alcoholic, smokers, or again obese, because vitamin C is one of the nutrients sensitive to stress. So some studies that look at your levels of vitamin C to see how healthy you are, just generally speaking, as a marker for overall health. So for colds, we generally think, I've got a cold, I'm going to take some vitamin C. So there's no direct link, you take your vitamin C. Some say if you already have a cold, if you take vitamin C, it's a little bit late. You should have had it a bit before when the season starts. So that's something to remember. But there are some studies that do show that if you have good level of vitamin C, it can prevent some more serious complications like the cold going down to your lungs, your bronchitis and stuff like that. So or pneumonia, lung infections, basically. So it's always a good thing to do, generally speaking. Personally, to be honest, I have my basic daily level of vitamin C throughout the year, and in the winter I up that a little bit. So
I have to say that I struggle with intake. If it's not in front of me, to remember it.
Well, I have it in front of me to remember it.
I'm always moving. I'm here or I'm sitting there.
Just put it on your table or something, somewhere where you're going to see where you're going to reach every day in the morning. You've got you have your routine. Either it's brushing your teeth, and that's where you'll remember it, or it's having your cup of tea, that's when you remember it. However, it's best to not take any mineral supplements with tea and coffee, because it just reduces the absorption. So have wait half an hour or something. But when it comes to other diseases like stroke, there was a study that showed that those were people with the highest concentrations of vitamin C in their blood were associated with 42% lower stroke risk than those with the lowest concentration. So there seem to be something that they're not clear yet what the reasons are. There's still so much. You know, when you read the studies, you realize how little we know more and more and more about the body, obviously, than maybe 200, 300, 400 years ago, or even 50 years ago.
It's amazing.
But there's still so much that we don't understand. This machine, subhanallah, mashallah, is so complex.
And it was, some people say, oh, it was an accident. It was created by accident. Please, people, use your common sense.
Yes. So, but basically, even if they don't know, well, you know, how it works, etc., they can say that overall, people who eat plenty of fruits and vegetables daily have the highest blood levels of vitamin C, and therefore generally, as we said, kind of a healthier health. And they also, because they eat a lot of fruits and veg, they have higher other nutrients that are potentially also beneficial to health, like fiber and other minerals and vitamins, because every fruit and veg, they have so very complex ingredients. And also another thing that's good with vitamin C is skin aging. So because we said it has that link with collagen, it really helps to keep your skin younger, and so you know, it might help to have a little bit. It's not just for beautification. If your skin is healthy, remember, the skin is an organ.
It's the biggest organ of the world, of your body.
One single organ that is like basically wraps your vital organs around. So you know, and it's also the first port of absorption for a lot of things as well. Again, we're talking about vitamin D, but there's also moisture and all sorts of things. So if you have a healthy, elastic skin, you've got better working pores to expel what you need to expel, to sweat, and absorb what you need to absorb. And also there's other studies that shows other things, like vitamin C can also potentially play a role in improving macular degeneration, which is, you know, the age-related eyesight problem, reduce inflammation, can also lower the risk of cancer and cardiovascular diseases. So there's quite a lot with vitamin C. I really do like my vitamin C. I think it's just from childhood as well. My parents would always have little vitamin C tablets when we were kids.
And they taste so good. When I was a kid, they used to give us the Flintstone ones.
Yeah. No.
And I'm eating Flintstone. Yum.
Yeah. Exactly. So, what do you want to? Is there anything you want to add to that little first section on?
No, I think you covered it very well.
Right, so we're going to have a little bit of a break. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about vitamin C. Again, we'll look at the diet. We'll look at some other aspects that can be beneficial for you to increase your level of vitamin C, and generally sort of finish off on maybe general recommendations about vitamins and minerals. I know magnesium will come back, because there can't be a show when you don't mention magnesium.
No, magnesium is very important.
So we had a long look and detailed look at vitamin D. We're having a look now at vitamin C, and kind of explained what vitamin C was important for different reasons. But you want to talk more about how then we can make sure we have vitamin C in our life, so in our body.
Vitamin C, as beautiful and important as it is, it's found in a variety of fruits and vegetables, okay? So the fruits richest in vitamin C are all citrus fruits. I've mentioned that before. Green peppers, strawberries, tomatoes. Everybody has a pen and pencil now. We should have told you before we went on a break, but you'll hear this again on our YouTube channel. So in any case, continuously telling you that tomatoes have vitamin C, broccoli, white potatoes, and sweet potatoes. Other good sources include dark leafy greens, cantaloupe, papaya, mango.
So it's interesting.
Watermelon.
Yeah, from this, like, we think vitamin C equals citrus fruits, but look at this list.
Yeah, I mean,
even
look,
white potatoes.
raspberries, blueberries. So those are
Green,
northern fruits,
Mm-hmm.
right? Winter squash and pineapples. So that's a lot of variety of fruits, like from tropical fruits
Yeah.
to northern hemisphere fruits. There's no excuse.
And
It's-
vegetables,
it's,
I mean,
you know,
potato, there's nothing more simple than for us here than potatoes, really.
And is that what happened then? I
That's
mean,
the issue
on
with-
a side issue, like during the famine in Ireland.
Yeah, that was
that
staple food.
the food
definitely.
went rotten, the potatoes got sick,
and
and
disease, and there was no
and-
help from the ruling Brits,
right.
and that's how they died. Yeah, but that was because there was this staple food. But also, that's the interesting point I was saying earlier about how our food is depleted. Potatoes, particularly, as an example, over the last 70 years, has lost about 70% of its nutrition levels. So,
Well, you know, I was watching a show about agriculture this morning in Greek, and the two things they were saying that food has lost a lot of its nutritional value. Two things could be the monoculture, like the farmers keep growing in the same soil, the same thing over and over again, doesn't give it a chance for anything. And second of all, is they use a lot of toxic herbicides and other things to prevent
it was thought in the past
bugs.
that intense farming was going to be a perfect, solution to food supplies, etc. But now they've realized actually it tires the soil. The pesticides kill all of the insects and worms that make
are
the
good
soil,
for you.
that bring up all the minerals up from the soil into the plant. And there's no rest for the soil to replenish itself. So this is a bit sad.
As again, humans live to. They're free to do what they want, but they're not free from what happens, the reactions, the consequences.
Yes, definitely.
So, for those of you who have kids or yourselves, a lot of people say they don't like fruits and veg. And anyways, that's crazy because food is your health. Food is your health, right? Here are some ideas to increase your vitamin C intake, okay, in your food. So you can add pureed fruit and veg into recipes. For example, for like when I make a cake, a certain cake, I don't want to give it away, I add grated beetroot in it. And it increases the chocolate flavor of your cake, chocolate cake, right? But if you are doing like muffins, you can grate in a sneaky zucchini with your carrot cake,
Courgette.
right? Or you guys call it courgette here. So much fancier than zucchini.
Well, it's French. One is Italian, the other one's French. None of them are English.
Yeah. You could keep cut fruits ready for a quick snack for kids when they come from school, because then you don't have to do all the work there. You just keep it ready on the counter for them. You could also use frozen fruit slices, freeze them and get them out for the kids this summer, especially when it's really hot.
Oh, we love to do smoothie with frozen berries. It's really nice because it gives that sort of cold and smooth texture.
You can even make popsicles with yogurt and any kind of fruit you like, put them in the freezer. You can include dark lettuce, tomatoes, and shredded broccoli slaw in your sandwiches and wraps. You can eat raw veggies with hummus and any kinds of delicious dips and salsas. And you can use frozen berries and any kind of fruit and berries in your muffins and your pancakes and your salads. Blueberries and peaches really go with a green salad. They really do go.
Frozen vegetables are really useful in the winter, especially.
Yeah. If you have space, you should be doing that. The other thing that's really good, you can throw like dry fruit in your cereal or put it with nuts for an easy snack. You can put a vegetable juice as a filling and low-calorie mid-afternoon snack. You can have soups with. You can make a tomato soup. You can make avocado. You can use avocados for guacamole. There's all kinds of delicious ways. And then give your kids the tortilla chips, right? And you can make your own salsa. The bottom line, there is no one silver bullet, vitamin, mineral, or nutrition. It's the big picture, and eating a varied diet is rich in vitamins is the best strategy for good health. Okay, so now we're gonna talk a little bit about how much vitamin C is enough. Okay, so extreme vitamin C deficiency is mainly seen in malnourished adults. In most cases, it can lead to scurvy. As crazy as that sounds, that's still around these days. It's characterized by weakness, anemia, bruising, bleeding, and loose teeth. So in a general study, it has been said that there's no real downside to taking a 500 milligram supplement, except that some types may irritate the stomach. That's why here it's recommended taking a non-acidic buffered form of the vitamin. So you have to read the labels. The safe upper limit for a vitamin C is 2,000 milligrams a day, and there's a great track record with strong evidence that taking 500 milligrams daily is safe.
So that's generally what you find on the shelves to grab. It's generally between 500 and 1,000 milligram, and you just take that one a day. But and you can up it to a day if you're getting a bit ill or something. So that would be your 2,000. But as I said, some studies are now starting to show that you can go higher than that. And again, your stomach will tell you when it gets when it's just basically not being absorbed anymore, because you just end up with diarrhea. But yeah, it's you play by ear, playing within the safe margins.
But as you know, always the best way we recommend to get your vitamins is through food, if it's possible. The better quality the food is better. So along with vitamin C, you can get a host of other vitamins through your food, as well as minerals, as well as fiber. So if you're eating fruits and vegetables or other produce and it's high quality, you'll get your vitamin C through there. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So it's just amazing how the body's made, though, subhanAllah.
And we still don't know, because for everybody it's different.
Yeah. There's to kind of round up generally on vitamins and minerals and absorption. It's everything, like with anything you do when you want trying to get a bit healthier, there are other ways to, you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to take all these vitamins and supplements and stuff, but still lead a very unhealthy lifestyle and never do any sports. I don't walk, There are things that it all goes together, doesn't it? It's very important to have adequate sleep every night. And adequate doesn't mean like sleeping from 2 a.m. to 10
restful
8
sleep.
hours.
Restful
it has
sleep.
to be before midnight, before around 11 o'clock. You get the best at 10:30. Exercise regularly. Doesn't have to be aerobics 3 hours per day. It can be walking, can be cycling, can be swimming, can be something gentle, but you're moving more than just your daily tasks. You're eating nutritious food. That's what we talked about today mostly, and you keep your stress levels low. So that could be having a regular bath with lavender oil. Again, walking outdoors calms you down a lot. Stopping using screens late at night. Don't read stressful news before going to bed.
You know what else that I found out due to my biology? The more carbs you have, the more you will wake up at night to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, right.
It wakes you up, and the days that I've had more carbs, I wake up 2-3 times minimum. Obviously, the older you get, the less muscle mass. A lot of things affect that. Also you're getting into your menopause and all of those things. But seriously, it is not a joke to keep waking up every few hours. You don't get enough sleep. Even if you are in bed for 8 hours, you did not get enough sleep. So in the morning, many times I wake up when I've had episodes of going to the bathroom too much. I wake up and I'm not like a walking zombie. Even coffee does not wake me up.
Even coffee.
And I drink my coffee, no sugar, no milk, Turkish coffee, like 500 mils pure caffeine. Like a mug. I don't have it in those tiny tiny
I like the
cups.
tiny little
Right?
cups.
I have the big coffee. It doesn't wake me up. Today, I had to also take a shower to wake up.
Yeah.
It was like a process.
Yeah.
And I had to get out of the house, so I had to do something. Otherwise, I'd be walking around going, I'll see you guys later in the afternoon.
Yeah, very true. And we've not talked about the elephant in the room, which is sugar. Too much refined sugar will affect your immune system, will create inflammation. And as you know, if you're a regular listener to this show, we have a full show on sleep, a full show on sugar. We're going to put up our latest show that was some time ago on fats as well on YouTube.
But did you know
Good
on
fats and
the
bad
sugar
fats.
that, like, you know how you always say we always talk about magnesium? Well, sugar is another topic. Did you guys know? And I'm sure it's in the show. So, but I remind you that as vitamin C or lack of vitamin C can make you ill, lack of vitamin D causes your immune system to have a problem. Get this, having sugar, and when I say sugar, I mean starchy stuff, because everything starchy breaks down to glucose. Glucose is another word for sugar. A lot of that, especially the refined kind, reduces the white blood cells in your blood, which means you are more likely to in conjunction with not enough sun, in connection with not having good food in your eating good food, and adding sugar, which is an ingredient in a lot of so-called comfort foods, you get sick. Lower white blood cells. So
remember, as we said, it's not just one thing that you have to do.
no, it's a lot of stuff.
But we talked about in our mindsets shows, and generally speaking, we try and remind you as well that don't freak out. Just do one step at a time with the aim of eventually having a healthier lifestyle. But start with one thing you can do and add another one once this habit is established and you feel okay with it. It's not been too bad.
Oh, sometimes for a mindset idea is that you, instead of working on what you can remove, think about what you can add. Think about adding. So a good thing to add on top of vitamin C in your routine to improve your immune system, unbelievable or not, is coconut in any form. Coconut oil, coconut meat, the milk, anything to do. It increases your white blood cells. Drink coconut water. It's one of the best things to drink. Okay, coconut water is refreshing, and they do use it. I'm not going to say the story because I'm not sure of all the vocabulary properly, but it's used in a lot of healing environments. Okay,
fantastic. That's great. And I think
coconut
that's
water.
A perfect way to conclude this show. So we hope you've learned something new. And again, contact us on Heritage Radio email, info@heritageradio.org.uk, or once
anything to do about
YouTube.
nutrition, anything to do with health. We love talking about this subject.
And remember, our channel is called Wellness with Angela and Safiya on YouTube, so you can just go and listen to our past shows, comment, like, share, subscribe, everything.
Yeah, you can listen to them while you're walking.
Yeah, oh, great idea. Exactly, there's lots of ways you can increase your knowledge about everything you're interested in. So inshallah, we are going to talk to you again in a week's time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Alaikum salam. Have a good week.
Inshallah.